Hey everyone, I'm back and today we're going to be talking about Scream 3, and this movie is directed by Wes Craven and came out in 2000, and I have some mixed feelings on this one, and there are definitely elements that this movie gets right. I think the opening scene is really great. I think it perfectly sets up the tone, just like the first two Scream movies, and it's just to show the killer, and he gets the first kill, and it establishes the tone very well. And what this series is known for is kind of mixing horror and comedy together, and it's like a satire of horror movies while at the same time it being its own thing. And normally I like that, but here they kind of take away the horror for the most part, and the comedy doesn't work for me too well, and it tries to be a mystery, and while I like that element, and that's what made the movie entertaining for me, was the mystery element that was going on. Unfortunately, when you do that, it's kind of building up, and there's a lot of build-up in this movie, and it's building up to the third act, and like this big reveal that's going to happen, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything when I say a big reveal, because well, first off, that's kind of what you're expecting is a reveal by the end of the movie, and two, that's what the first two movies did. Once you get to the reveal, it's kind of dependent on it paying off, and unfortunately, that's one of this film's biggest weaknesses, is that the payoff was kind of unsatisfying, and once you start to think about things, the more you realize that things don't really make a lot of sense. And it's an interesting idea, I guess, what they were going for, but I don't like how it was handled, and not all of it, but a lot of the build-up, it just doesn't work for me now, and I'm just left wondering, how's this film going to work for me on a second viewing? Because now that I know what the twist is, it affects the entire film when I rewatch this movie. And those first two movies, it works really well. Knowing this information, you're looking for little details to hint, oh, this fits in perfectly. This makes sense completely, for the most part. But this movie, I don't think that's going to happen. And I've only seen this movie once. Who knows, it might get better on a second viewing. But unfortunately, if your movie doesn't get better or stay the same upon just one viewing, and it kind of just gets worse the more you think about it, then to me it's not the best. To talk about some positives, I liked all the characters that they brought back from the previous movies that did not get killed, and they do a good job in this movie, and they're very likable characters. I like what they're doing, and to some extent this movie it does a good job at portraying this story, and I like the story that Sydney is kind of paranoid, and she is taking all these precautions and just cutting herself out from the outside world, and she's very isolated, and she has like security everywhere and like alarms to go off if someone breaks into her house, and all of that is great. I like all of that. I like what the story is in concept. I liked where the characters start from the second movie and leading into this movie, for the most part. I like all of that, but unfortunately, as the movie goes along, it kind of just gets really stupid. And another big problem I have with this movie is that it kind of removes what made this series good to me, and like I said earlier, it kind of removes the horror and the comedy out and just becomes a mystery. And while there is horror in there, it's not nearly as effective as the first two movies, because I just don't feel as though it was as well done as the previous films. And the comedy just wasn't funny to me, and it was either just getting old to me, or I knew what to expect, and it just didn't work as well. But to tell you the truth, I can rewatch the first two movies, and they're still going to be funny to me, like those funny moments that work. And one thing that I really hated about the story in this movie is that Sydney is kind of haunted by her past, and she has like this dream sequence where her mother is like out of the grave and coming to haunt her, And that was one whole big dream sequence, and that's kind of what the movie is about. Sydney coming to terms with her past. And while I like that in concept to some extent, the fact that it's her mother haunting her, and the movie kind of just uses that to question, are you just going crazy right now? I felt as though that was really stupid, and there are some really stupid moments in this movie where a character dies by the house exploding, and there's a character who gets stabbed in the back, and I thought they were dead once Ghostface stabbed them in the back like a few times and like did more damage to them as like he was struggling to fight for his life, and then he was on the floor and like face down on the floor. And right then and there, I thought he was dead, but apparently not, because in the very next scene, he's like slowly walking to the front door of the house he was next to. And you can see the knife in his back, and I was like, I thought you were dead. Why are you not dead? And then he died. What was the point of that? It doesn't make any sense. And this movie just sacrifices logic just to be kind of funny, I guess, or fun. But another issue that I have with this movie is that it doesn't feel like it's a satire of horror movies, and if it is, it's not well done. And part of the reason why is that the villain in this movie, like I said, I've kind of complained that once you figure out certain things, the more you think about the story as a whole, the more it just doesn't make sense. And the reason why that hurts the whole movie is because when you look at the perspective of, since Scream is kind of supposed to be, like I've said many times, a satire and be its own thing, it takes the satire moments and it kind of makes it look as though it's less self-aware about what it is and more just poorly thought out. Because in the previous movies, sure, you could say certain moments were kind of goofy and ridiculous, but they're well thought out. They had effort put behind them. Where in this movie, it just felt as though, here's how we can kill off a character, and they're going to be just in this room, and then just conveniently kill them at this moment, and it was really stupid, and I don't understand why that was like that. And that's about all of my issues with Scream 3. Its biggest problem is that the script is really stupid, and even by Scream standards, this is a stupid script, and it's not necessarily terribly shot in every scene. It looks nice. It was never poorly acted. There were no performances that I thought were really bad or distracting. And it has some fun ideas. There are some good scenes in this movie. I like our characters, but if the writing for the movie is really bad, like this movie, then it kind of ruins a lot of things. And that's about all I have to say about Scream 3. It's kind of a mess. I have a lot of issues with it. It's not a painful experience. You can watch this movie. It's not the worst movie to watch. If you want to see, like, originally this was supposed to be the conclusion to this series, like the third in a trilogy, and it was just going to end right there. And if you just want to watch the third movie to complete it, then this isn't the worst thing ever, but it's just that I'm really disappointed by this movie, and that's my biggest problem, is that it kind of leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Scream 3 a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Scream 3, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Lethal Weapon 2, so look forward to that. But until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.